Stance
Um,
Dr. Steve.
Stance Dr. Steve. Okay, overrated, underrated. Let's get to it. Here we go. We've done the World Baseball Classic. We've done Sal Frelick's mustache.
Mhm.
Very underrated. Ladies got to love that mustache. And by the way, Frelick, I didn't know that was an Italian name.
What about Sal?
Sal is very Italian. Yes, that is.
I,
That's you're right.
he
You're
doesn't
right
even
about
need
that.
a last name. He really doesn't need a last
No,
name
it's
to
just
play
it
on
just could
the
be.
Italian
It could be
team.
like
No,
Ichiro.
just Sal.
Yeah. Just here comes Sal to the plate.
That's it.
All right. This week on cross functionality, we talked, Cassie and I, technology, gizmos and gadgets when it comes to
Mhm.
hitting.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to give you some technology here. I want to see what you think, if it's overrated or underrated. Here we go. I think I know the answer to this. Blast motion technology, overrated or underrated?
I don't know, Jim. These are really hard questions.
All right.
I'll
Diamond kinetic,
say
overrated, underrated?
it depends how you use it. So,
Right.
okay, blast motion for a parent and a kid,
For an
overrated.
instructor.
For an
For an
instructor,
instructor.
the right instructor, it would be underrated.
All right.
Yeah,
What about diamond kinetics?
same. I just don't use
Okay.
it.
Okay. You don't use it?
I don't use Diamond Kinetics.
How come?
I don't know. I like Blast. Blast was easy to use. It's set up quick. I never had any issues with it. I
All right.
tried Diamond Kinetics, I think, back before it got rebranded, and it glitched out on me. Zep glitched out on me, so I just stopped using them. They weren't good
Also,
numbers.
I want to add context to this. This equipment is a lot,
Mhm.
and Cassie and I talked about this. It's a
Mhm.
lot of money, but we're taking the money out of it. If you had an unlimited budget to get all of this equipment, all these pieces of equipment to use, that's that's the context we're talking
Okay.
about when we say overrated, underrated. All right, here's a good one. Oculus virtual reality. I love the virtual reality.
Yeah.
Overrated, underrated?
Overrated.
Really?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
why?
I read a study on this that it really doesn't help with pitch tracking, 3 dimension, like the live, meaning it's not the same as watching an actual object of actual size coming at you.
Okay.
Now, in terms of timing and rhythm, I think it could be very, very beneficial. We've tried it. We use the heck out of it, and I think it's pretty cool. But everybody loses interest. So, for that sense, I would say it's overrated because it doesn't. People didn't want to use it.
All
I
right.
thought it was a pretty good idea, but I couldn't get players to do it after a couple weeks.
All right. K-Vest. Overrated, underrated?
Probably all of that. Hmm.
There's no gray area here. This
Well,
is
no, I
like
mean, there's a lot of
overrated,
different
underrated.
there's K-Vest, any kind of 3D kinematic sequencing, right? Or not? We're not talking about, because there's
Well,
K-Vest, there's 4D motion, there's um, now you can do AI stuff with just video that shows kinematic sequencing. So are we grouping all kinematic sequencing kind of
well,
sensors
you
together?
just did, so I guess we are.
Yeah. So I would say for the most part, aside from what I'm going to talk about, overrated.
Really.
Yep,
But you mostly use K-Vest though.
I do. Yeah, but it doesn't matter which one. You're looking at the results.
And you think it's overrated because you have had an experience with a student that was using K-Vest that really didn't
Um,
connect, right?
I'm gonna say it's overrated because if you're good, it doesn't matter. If you hit the ball really well, I don't really care what your K vest sequencing is.
Okay.
There are big leaguers that are in sequence, and there are big leaguers that are out of sequence. There are hitters that are big and strong and don't produce any bat speed, and then there's small people that produce a ton of bat speed. And when you make these changes, for instance, I've made a separation change between torque angles, right? So your upper body is closed more, your lower body is opened more. It's not a drastic, it's not going to make you, if you're hitting the ball 80 miles an hour and I increase your torque angle by 10 degrees, or your separation angle, or your X factor, or your K angle, whatever you want to call it, 3 dimensionally, your exit velocity might go up 2 miles an hour. Okay. So we're not talking like from 80 to 82. We're not talking about massive gains when we see this.
Mhm.
However, I have a player that I'm working with now, and he's strong. He's pretty big. He's 175, 180 pounds. He can put up a little bit of weight, for being a sophomore in high school, put up some weight in the weight room. He's stronger than other people, other players that I work with, but he hits the ball 18 miles an hour less than some of them.
Mhm.
And he's like, Ep, what the heck, man? Like, I'm strong. I'm putting in the time. You look at his swing on video, it's a little bit of like Trout, where he's very kind of rotation dominated. He's not a lot of whippy like you would see with um, uh, Vlad or
Trey
even
Turner.
Trey Turner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's more of like a turn swing. And he was taught that like by a guy, the last couple of years before I got to him. It's not a bad swing. But the barrel never releases. So I'm like, hey, I want to put the K vest on you. Okay. Which is going to tell us where you're missing out. Like where you're either not an athlete and your muscle fibers don't fire fast enough, right? Some people do. Some people are freaks and they jump higher and they run faster and they see pitches better and they can react earlier. So where's the disc? Is there a physical disconnect? So I put him on the K vest, and essentially his left arm and his torso move at the same speed. Okay. So he never stacks his kinematic sequencing from his shoulder rotation to his arms. He was never taught to use his arms or hands. Okay. So when you look at guys that are real whippy or handsy, like Hank Aaron, okay, Hank Aaron was like 165 pounds, 170 pounds, and he swung a big old bat and he just flipped that barrel out there all the time. And he centered it and it had speed. So, why can a player that's stronger not do that? Well, he's not getting the energy to his bat head. So, the K vest in that instance is telling me as an instructor where we can make gains. Okay. I will tell you how hard that is to make that gain. I've been doing this a really long time and I've studied a lot and I've worked with a lot of players. And I feel like I'm a pretty decent coach for communication and information. And this is going to be very difficult for me to get to. It really is. It's not going to be easy because I saw the disconnect without using the K vest. Like, okay, you need to, like, your arms and hands don't do anything. So how can we like get you to release the barrel? So we've been doing some directional stuff. We've been doing
Mhm.
trying to take his rotation out of it with his chest, but it's going to take us a long time. It's going to be a really cool case study over the summer. It's not something I can do during the high school season, unfortunately, since it's going to be a month, 3 to 4 month project. But it'll be really interesting if we can add 10% to his bat speed. If we can go from 80 to 88, that would be really, really cool.